So this is Inter-Bliss. Welcome back. This is Quyn.
And Hans. Hi, Hans. Yeah, me.
And this is Essie here.
Yeah, we brought the dog because it's a really sensitive subject we're going to talk about today. And a lot of people need support when they talk about this kind of thing. Quyn, what's the topic of the day?
Today we're going to talk about money.
Money, that's right. Dineros, mucho dinero.
Dinero.
And what it means to you and what it means to, how to handle that money between two people. Because it's an interesting thing. We had some fun with it for sure.
Yeah. So we'll talk, this is from our perspective. What you do with that is up to you. But this is our perspective. We will share with you ways we have learned to be smart with our money and how we have increased our financial abundance significantly. Right? So, first of all, let's talk about our upbringing, because our upbringing has a lot to do with our beliefs and perceptions around money. So in my family, my parents and even a lot of people in my family, they don't really believe in saving. They believe in spending, especially my mom. Spend. Life is short. What's the point of saving? That sort of thing. So nothing. I growing up, I didn't learn anything about investments. I didn't learn anything about saving. Just learn to be giving and generous. And so I also associated money with being treated well. Like, my parents would take us out, would take us traveling or things like that. And I used to be poor too in the refugee camp, right? And then in Vietnam, we did have, my parents were business people. So sometimes we were considered a little bit well off, but other times we were poor as well, like eating what's that eating some kind of poor things for breakfast.
Poor things. What is that? What's a poor thing for breakfast?
Like plain congee or
so it's not like bugs.
Some kind of or some kind of vegetable, some kind of potatoes. I forget what it's called in English now. Never mind.
Like a potato pancake?
No, it's like a potatoes are sort of long like this. It's not potato.
Like
it's
a French fry?
No. I forget what it's called. It's in my head, but it's a kind of potatoes, but it's not potatoes. Yeah.
Okay.
Almost like sweet potatoes.
Right,
yeah, almost like that.
Not those either.
No, not those. How about you, Hans? So what was your upbringing?
What was my upbringing? I was poor. Like, we were poor. We came to Canada when I was a little kid, and my parents, they struggled when they got to Canada. My mom was pretty much a waitress most of the time, and my dad was, he was born to be at sea, and so being in Winnipeg was so hard. And like I said, we struggled with a lot of things, and we struggled financially for sure. And then when my mom had money, she spent the money. Yeah. She would take us out for dinner, and we would go to fancy places, and we would blow the cash. Right? Always had money for the rent. Always had the basics, but if there was anything extra, boy, there was no education fund. There was no planning ahead. There was nothing like that.
Yeah. So sound like we have similar upbringing like that.
And mostly there was a lack of, right? Like we never had enough, unless we had too much, and then we had to get rid of it right away. So we went back to the default of never having enough. Yeah.
So then before we met each other as adults, I was in debt. I had $70,000 in student loan because moving to BC, that was expensive as students, right? I couldn't get money for living, so I had to borrow money for that. And so so 5% interest every year, 5 or 4%, right? So what's 5% of 70,000?
3,500.
Yeah, a year. So that means like around 300 a month. Can you imagine that? And that's just only interest. And also I accumulated some credit card debts, like around $20,000 before I met Hans, because I didn't make a lot of money as the beginning of my counseling career. It was pretty sad, like, doing like a master's degree and making around $22 per hour. Pretty pathetic, actually.
When we met, Quyn was pretty upset, and my son was in Alberta making $40 an hour driving a dump truck. He barely got through high school.
Yeah, you know, and good for him, right?
Yep.
I'm happy when people make money. Like, I'm not gonna resent people making more money, but I rather work on how do I increase my financial abundance.
Mhm.
So how was your financial situation, Hans, when we
Oh, I
met?
was pretty tight for money. Like I was working. I always had a job, right? And I had a house, but I had no money, and I was probably in $50,000-$60,000 in credit card debt,
Yeah,
like high interest credit card debt.
yeah.
So that was really, really draining, you know?
Now, yeah, so let's break it down a bit. So, say if credit card is about 22%, right?
Mhm.
So, was it mostly credit card or was
Oh
it,
yeah, no, mostly credit card, maybe
right?
some,
Okay.
yeah,
So, say $50,000,
yeah,
20% of that a year would be,
10,800 a month, 850 a month.
and that's only interest.
Yeah,
All that would go to the bank,
yeah.
right? So that's why when you're smart about money, you will be aware of these things that
Mhm.
you pay to people, not to yourself,
Yep.
because of things accumulate. What kind of things would you typically, spend on?
So I was a single parent, and
Yeah,
I was a long-term caregiver too, right? So I
yeah,
mean, I spent a lot of money
mm-hmm.
on things to make my life easier, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a decent vehicle, and then lots of eating out, lots of convenience, quote
yeah,
convenience foods, right?
yeah,
Just
and
killing me
not
that
even
stuff.
good for you
No,
or
no,
for
like I
me.
said, just killing me that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, lots of eating out, and just we would go on little trips when my son was in sports, and I would just spend the money
Yeah.
because I could see how fast life could turn. My dad passed away when he was 53,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had a little bit of investment, but not much.
Yeah.
And the luckiest thing for both of us is I had a house,
Yes.
and we bought it at an okay time, and we sold it at a good time, right? And we made a few dollars on it, and so that kind of helped us start out of our hole, right?
Yeah. So, so one of the first things Hans encouraged me to do, and that was really a great start, was to pay off my student loan. So this was how I was thinking. Like, oh, I gotta make less money, so then the government would feel bad, so that they would give me um some some uh,
Relief.
some relief. That's right, right? And and that's a scarcity mindset. So then we talked about, why don't we just pay it off? Because, right, pay it off, and then find ways to, if you make a lot of money or some money or more money, find ways to pay less tax,
Mhm.
rather than afraid of gaining more
Yeah.
money, and keep my income low,
Yeah.
so that I can I can be eligible for government's relief.
Like I never quite met anybody that had that mindset before, right? Where it was, I'm going to earn less money to pay less tax, and I always thought that was crazy. Like, make as much money as you can and pay the tax. Who cares? Take the money.
Yeah,
And so,
right. So we
and
pay.
especially for Quyn, because Quyn's educated and she's very driven, but she has an obvious disability, and she could be on disability, and she could go to the government and say, I want a check every month, and I want disability, but she doesn't do that because she doesn't want that. But yet she was trying to nickel and dime him on some kind of a interest on a student loan. I just couldn't quite.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a few times. I'm like, no, just make the money. Who cares? Pay the tax.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of paying off our
Mhm.
debts.
Mhm.
And then also, Hans told me about RDSP. So maybe you can explain that, Hans.
Sure. So again, someone with a disability is eligible for a special government savings program called a RDSP. And in that program, the government matches your money based on your income. And so and it's retroactive 7 years. So
Yes.
Quyn was able to get quite a bit of money retroactive with the government because her income was quite low. So I'm not sure how much they gave her, but it was significant.
Well, in the
Tens
beginning,
of
it
thousands of dollars. Yeah.
triple in the beginning. I mean,
So-
there's a limit amount eventually all they can give you. But in the beginning, yeah, they triple the first few years.
Right. So we were able to put the money needed in that RDSP. So Quyn got a nice return on that.
Yes.
And the government forces her to keep that in a safe kind of investment, whether it's a safe mutual fund or
Yeah.
guaranteed investment.
Yeah. Managed by the bank,
Yeah.
which is lots of fees.
And now we still put in, I think, when you put in $1,000 a year to get the government
something,
matching.
because my income now is not low, so.
But they still guarantee $1,500 a year. So
yeah.
we put that in to make sure we get that added to the pile.
So that's been going, since, but because it's managed by the bank, and this is another thing I'll talk later, because it's managed by the bank, so the interest I gain every year is I don't know, 10% or something like that, not a whole lot. But because it's compounding, right? So remember about investments is that it's compounding. So we may have put in, like, say, I don't know, 50,000, 60,000, but now it's 180,000, 70,000. So right, so things like that compound over the years, because I started since around 2015 or something.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
But that started my journey of savings, and
part of that with the government is you can't take the money out.
That's right. You have to keep it in there.
Quyn has to keep contributing until she's 49, and that's the earliest you can take it out.
Yes, but even that 49, you're not really supposed to take it out until 59 or something.
You can keep contributing until you're 59.
No, keep contributing until 49.
59.
No, 49, but take out 59. You can check it. Anyway, so that was really helpful. But another thing, so this guy's funny. Like, he wasn't a saver, but he knew about certain things. But he also, he told me to read the book. So one of the first financial books I read was called The Wealthy Barber. And that really changed how I think about money. In terms of investments, in terms of savings, in terms of ways to increase your income, and it's a book written in the format of a story, so it's not so dry. And I just never, all the education I got, nothing about finance, right? Unless you specifically go into finance, which is really sad, right? All the math and statistics and the calculus that I had to learn, nothing about, well, maybe I did learn a little bit about compound interest, but nobody actually explained like how that really applies in your life.
No.
I just saw that as equation that only works for, the banks kind of thing, right? And so, then, and the thing is, once you start on that momentum of savings, then you realize, you start to see how things grow and grow, and it's exciting, so
but the first thing we did was really focus hard on eliminating our debt.
Yes.
We got that RDSP, and we had a little bit of investment, and Quyn got really good. She got a really nice job, and she was able to put a certain amount of money, away every month, or I think that's how you were doing it, right? Into your own investment fund, where she was a little bit more proactive, and did great building that, while we really worked hard to pay our bills.
Yes, because another thing we do is make sure every month we pay off our credit card statement balance, even to the cent, because otherwise you're going to pay 20 to 22%. Or even some credit card like Canadian Tire or those
those are super high, 29.
They like 29, 30. So sometimes you think, oh yeah, minimum payment $10, $50, I can do that. But that means all of that and more will go into interest, right? So when we pay up balance like that, you can use credit cards, and actually you gain from the bank. So we would get either cash backs, so sometimes $800, $1,000 we would get back from the bank.
What did we get this year? $850?
$850, but because I have to pay the fee for it, but because we switched the card too, so it would have been more. But usually, $1,000 or the $1,100.
And we paid no interest, right? So
no interest.
It's a pretty good deal getting paid by the bank,
right? You rarely make money from the bank, or you get points. So now we switched to WestJet points. Yep. Right?
And we were going to ditch the one card, but we realized it really gets a good return on on the groceries.
Yes.
So we use it for groceries, and it'll still pay us to have both cards.
Yeah, because groceries, like you get 4% back, right? So if you spend, like say $100, you get $4 back.
Yep.
Right? Imagine each week, and then so adds up, right? So all of these things, they all add up. But one of the really significant things I think that really helped us is my mindset. So in 2014, I visualized, the kind of life that I really want. Because at that time, I was, like I said, making $22 or so an hour, living in a one-bedroom apartment with hands, working in a job that I didn't really like, right?
Taking transit, getting your
Oh
body
my
beat
God.
up.
Yeah. I had neck pain and shoulder pain. So my body at early 30s, way unhealthier than my body now in, early 40s. And so what I did was I started to visualize. I visualized being debt free. I visualized having financial abundance because I read a book. I said, why don't you think about some ways to more than double your income? And I thought about, I visualized a waterfront home and a body that is healthy, very comfortable, free of pain, free of debt, right? And being able to travel. So that was 2014. By the end of 2015, well, within 2 months or a few months, we actually got a house in Powell River, the first house, very cheap, right, Hans?
Yeah, super cheap, 135, 140 grand.
Yeah, but water view, so not quite waterfront yet, but
You
that
could see
was
all the way to Vancouver Island. It was beautiful.
yeah. And then by the end of 2015, I landed a great job, more than double my income. But it was in a place that, really good for my skills and knowledge. And I felt really respected, really valued there. It was a great place at that time. And by 2016, we got our dreamed waterfront home where we are today.
No, that's right.
And because no more stress, no more commuting, so that means no more pain for me.
It was literally a 1-minute drive to work or a 10-minute walk.
And the reason we said it was because I am self-employed now. Right? Okay, so what might be some practical, smart ways that we change the way we spend, Hence?
We used to go to Costco and spend $300-400 a pop every time we went to Costco. Remember?
I know, right?
Man,
Buy big things,
huge containers, and then have to consume all that stuff.
Yeah, got to eat more, got to use more, right? Because you have more.
Yeah, a lot of packages, a lot of things, and so we don't do that. Now we live in this little town, and we should go shopping twice a week.
But even if we live in the city next year, we're not gonna.
I'm not going back to that. That huge, crazy consuming shopping.
Yeah.
So no, we eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, and a lot of meat and rice and quinoa and simple things. And I think it keeps us pretty healthy. So that's a big change from the way we used to do it. Right. And so, and that's so much cheaper, we had a couple over for dinner last night, and I don't think the whole dinner, including dessert, was $40 to make.
Yeah.
Whereas the weekend, couple of weeks before, we went out for Indian food buffet, and it was over $120.
Yeah, and actually that's supposed to be cheap for 4 people.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not bad at all.
No, it was more like 150 now that I think about it, right?
So, yeah. Right. So we tend to go out to eat mostly more for social reasons, especially when we come down the city. Taking families out, friends out.
We don't have a home in the city, so we can't entertain at home, right? We have to take people out.
Yeah. So the way that when we spend money like that, we ask ourselves is it meaningful to us? So we tend to focus on spending on experiences like travel, or hanging out with friends or family, or taking them to like my nieces to some concerts
or go-karting.
Yeah, right. Experiences rather than material things.
Like last year at Christmas, we don't buy each other Christmas gifts, so we didn't do that. But we did go out on New Year's, and we treated ourselves to a nice dinner out with dancing and live music and with cha-cha and ooh la la all over the place.
Yeah, right. So we would spend money on those things.
Yeah.
But like things like there's a thing
but I don't need to buy Quyn a new sweater or another pair of boots or some perfume or earrings or something. That's if Quyn wants some earrings, we're going to go to Royal City Jewelers and we're going to buy beautiful heirloom diamonds and rubies and real stuff and
for cheaper prices
and for less than we would at a diamond store.
Yeah, right? Or because he works at the thrift store, he would buy me clothes, and
what we're wearing all came from the thrift store. That top for sure thrift.
But this is my gym top. This is a casual one.
And I got my grandpa sweater. I got my first cardigan. Right. So, but
I still get great compliments on how I dress from women and sometimes even men. So I mean, so not doing too bad, right? So being smart about spending money. Also, there's another thing they call the latte factor.
Yeah, I don't believe in it quite as much.
No? Oh, really?
But I mean, you can spend a lot. You can piss away a lot of money small timing it. $5 here, $10 there.
Yes.
And my son recently got sick and he didn't go to work for a week, and he was quite surprised how much extra money he had in his bank account because he didn't go and get a pack of cigarettes and a bunch of to-go coffee and a couple of sandwiches at Tim Hortons, and he was saving $30 a day easy. And so
$200 a week or something.
At the end of the week, he was quite shocked how much money was in his bank account.
So things like that can really add up.
Like a great thing we do, we eat well, but we fast too. So we don't eat breakfast. We don't really eat a lot of lunch. Quyn will have a salad in the afternoon, and I often don't eat till 4 in the afternoon. So it's not that I do it to save money, but it certainly does save money, so.
Yes. Yeah, because when we used to travel, we had to worry about breakfast, we have to worry about lunch, we have to worry about dinner. And now when we travel, we might,
worry about coffee. I worry about coffee. But not as bad as I used to because, I give it up for Lent. I'll tell you about that sometime. But
but so it's and also eating out fast food, like all those the oils they put in there, the sugar,
the MSG,
like all that stuff go into your body and not even good for you, and you pay. Oh my goodness, we took we took my family out $350, and that was like a simple Italian.
We went to Olive Garden.
Right.
And so
for 7 of us.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7 of us. $350.
Yeah, and you look back and think, okay, $50 a head. I don't think anybody had a drink, right? I think maybe
they did.
A couple drinks, but
but like stuff like that. But that's not by the time you tax your tip.
We don't, because Quyn and I don't drink not because we're cheap, but we don't like to drink. So
we don't like to drink. We don't like to drink sugar drinks like pops or juices, right? Because it's not the healthiest for your body.
Like a lot of water and a lot of tea.
Yeah, and so. Another thing that I have learned. So earlier I mentioned that when you do investments with the bank, it's high fees, but also you're quite limited in what they suggest. And actually, I heard people say, financial advisors at the banks are not actually financially abundant themselves. You know what I mean? I've heard about, financial advisors are not necessarily financially abundant unless they're pretty smart. Anyway, so I have learned to do self-investments. And I'm not talking about stocks, because stocks, I find them risky. But, funds, like ETF funds, that means probably dozens of companies under one fund. So that means, you're not going to have the risk of, say, one company bankrupting and you losing all the stock, right? And so when I do self-investment, it's amazing. Like within a few years, what I put in would double, instead of in the bank, you get 10%, 7%.
Quyn had some money in sort of a bank, in a different kind of holding company. And I kept telling her, take that money out of there and put it in your account. She said, no, I'll leave it. It's safe there. It's safe there. That's
Well,
about $20,000 from
Yeah.
one of her jobs that accumulated. And I finally showed her the statement they sent in the mail. And I'm like, look at this. You made $320 in interest. They charge you $220 in fees, plus $15 to send you the letter to tell you how much it was. So on your 20 grand, you make $75 a year.
Yeah.
I said, get that money back in your hands and make it work for you.
And get this, compare that to this year. I put in $20,000 just for tax-free saving. That's a temporary, right? Within a few months, I gained $5,000 from that. So that helped with our travel fund, right? So that's way different from I'm not going to mention the name of the bank.
Yeah. See, and I know a lot of people out there are sitting there watching this, like thousands of people watching this.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there thinking, oh yeah, great, you got lucky, right? You timed it and your market went up and you made a lot of money, so good for you. Well, last year we had our money tied up. I had the money in this fund, and I had whatever it was, $50,000 in there. And then everything went for a bit of a dump, and my investments were down below $35,000.
That's right.
And a lot of our friends, like Quyn had spoken to, her family were freaking out. They're phoning. They're like, my investments are down. But, we know that it's a broad-based ETF fund, and that when the market turns, it's all coming back up. And it came back up and then some. And so it took a year and a half for that to bounce back.
Just be patient. The
market never loses.
The trend always goes up long term.
So anyway, we're not here to give you market advice, but that really worked for us. And now we got a friend we had dinner with, and he's telling us about crypto, and we're both a little bit like, I don't know about crypto.
Yeah.
But,
I'm not. I'm probably not going to go there because I don't know too much about it.
I think I'm going to throw a couple grand at it.
Yeah, just something small, like low risk or something.
Yeah, and just to see. But I don't understand it either. I think it's a big pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And I think it's all going to collapse. But if I can make some money before it collapses, I'm not going to feel too bad about that.
Right, yeah. But so my point is that, just because you're smart with money, it doesn't have to mean that you live an uncomfortable life. Like we travel, right?
We had
March,
2 great trips this year.
Yeah, we went to Dominican Republic with our big family.
Yep. And then we went to Toronto for a week, and we spent a week in Toronto. And
with ourselves.
Yeah, just went to Niagara Falls, went to great stuff.
Yeah. And then we went to Maui by ourselves.
Yeah, 10 days is beautiful. That was awesome.
So when you're smart with your money, you can do a lot of things, and you feel good spending. And we're pretty generous with our family too.
Yeah, pretty good.
Of friends, right? We
always treat. We always seem to pick up the tab, right?
Right. So live abundant, but also be smart about where money goes out.
Like when we go shopping, like sure, I don't. I don't buy convenience packaged food, right? But we buy beautiful, fresh things. We're having fresh steelhead tonight, with the quinoa and some fresh vegetables. I got some good chicken stuff going on. So we eat good quality food all the time. I don't buy, if I want to buy a bunch of nuts, I'll buy nuts. I'll buy nice berries, fresh raspberries, blackberries, good fruits every day. Good stuff.
And so when you're smart with
money, no peanut butter, no jam, no bunch of schwitzy bread.
I mean, those things are
bagels,
cheap too, but just because they're cheap doesn't mean they're good, What was it I was going to say?
How much you love your husband?
No. Well, when you're smart with your money, you have more choices in life. So one of the reasons that helped me to resign from my job and to be self-employed is that, I know that, first of all, I have faith in my skills as a therapist, but I also know my ability to achieve or maintain financial abundance. And so that has helped me, given me the freedom to be self-employed, to be my own boss.
See, and my role in
Yeah,
this,
that's right.
it's like I'm more comfortable working for an employer, and so I always have. And so while Quyn's been, traveling, learning, doing, working this job, starting her own thing, doing different things online, I got my regular job I go to full time. I get paid every 2 weeks, so that's kind of the baseline that covers our basic bills.
That's right.
And Quyn gets to
And then
explore and grow and
we
do.
get benefits
Yeah, I
from
got
it,
medical and
right?
dental, and so I got all that homebody stuff covered. And that way, when Quyn first told me I want to quit my 6-figure job, I'm going to start my own thing, I'm like, well, but we moved to Powell River, and I had no idea what I was going to do in Powell River. Right? Quyn had a $50,000 a year job, and I had nothing, and that's how we moved here. And it worked out really well for us. I always found work. I always found something interesting to do, but it was always steady, steady, steady. And Quyn could, explore and do and figure out what really is exciting and what
because
great for her.
to me, freedom is important. To Hans, stability is important. So because he likes stability, so that's why he likes to work for an employer. I like freedom. I don't like to be told what to do too much. Therefore, I like to work on my own. But another thing we did was when we moved to Powell, we were lucky. The real estate market was at the bottom. So within a short time, we managed to buy 2 cheap houses, and then he fixed up, and eventually we would sell them, make money. We don't make like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars like people in Vancouver, nothing like that. And remember, when we met, we were in debt and had nothing.
That's right.
So I mean, I'm not saying we're millionaires. I'm not saying anything like that. We have done what has been within our
pocket all the time.
Yeah, in our pocket. Even buying this waterfront home.
Yeah, when we had bills, like when we paid off our debts, we paid off our credit cards, and then our mortgage. We really focused, and we paid the extra 5%. We paid double payments. We paid the extra 15%. We made lump sum payments whenever we could. And sometimes we went in debt to do it, but we knew that was the right thing to do. And we got to pay off most of the mortgage on this house. The only reason we owe money is because we're buying more houses. So I'm pretty happy with everything we've done, right? And my mindset was never like that. Quyn's really, and another important thing that we did, and it was never a thing that I would have done before, is we had one bank account where all our money went into one bank account. Well, we used to, not so much.
Well, some people not believe in that.
But right? I thought that was really good, because then, we really knew we were in it together, and we saw the money, we knew where it was going and how it was rolling. And we still have that bank account, but of course Quyn has a business account, and it's a little bit different, but it's still, my money is still all of our money, and it works out really well.
Yeah, I can kind of keep track of what Hans spends. Then some people don't like that. Some people say, "Oh, that's too much restriction." But for us,
it's a little much sometimes when I'm just putting the groceries in the car and I get the phone call. Why did you spend $150 of groceries?
Well, $150 not bad. Sometimes like $250.
You gotta shop, But yeah, Quyn keeps pretty close tabs on all the money we spend, and that way we know if there's a trend going on, like what's going on.
Yeah, it's more like trend, right? Like I said, can we try to limit our groceries to 200 a week or something, right? I know it doesn't work all the time, especially if we have gas, but so something like that, like an agreement that we agree on. And I think we're really lucky that you and I on similar pages, is it a similar page or similar pages? How many pages?
We're on the same page.
Same page, one page, right? Like we believe in, living comfortably, but also saving, and that there's a vision. Yeah, not just frugal for the sake of being frugal. Like
we're nice and warm and comfortable, and we're gonna move from here to the city. We're gonna give up our place in the country, but we're keeping that place. Right, we're going to do everything we can to keep this one, and then rent it out, and get the house in the city, live there.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
but we spent it's a year away. I mean, we've been talking about how to make it work for 2 years, and we went from we're going to live there. We're going to sell this. We're going to rent this. We're going to a lot of different things, before we realize the best thing is to keep it, because it's waterfront and it's close to the city and it's not going to get any cheaper. That's for sure.
Yeah. And remember earlier, I talked about my fear of making more money because I didn't want to pay more taxes. I didn't want to, I wanted to get the government's relief. And now my thinking now is no, make money. Just be smart about keeping your expenses, finding ways to reduce
maximize your RSPs.
Stuff like that.
Keep your tax bill as low as you can.
And so now, I can make quite a lot of whatever, but taxes I might pay less than some of the people that I know working for employers and paying taxes, right? So it's all about allowing yourself to be abundant, and then figure out how to minimize the tax. And being self-employed is really great for minimizing taxes. So, right?
Yeah, but the biggest thing is the belief, right? Like you can change. The biggest thing to change your money situation is to believe you can.
Yes, that's right.
It's so
Start small.
hard.
Start what you can.
When you're in that hole, to be looking up and think, how are you going to get out of this thing?
I couldn't. It was hard for me then. It seemed really overwhelming, right?
Yeah, and like alone, it was pretty challenging, but together we were able to really do more than I ever thought possible.
Yes. So I would say whether you have partner or spouse, talk about money. Even when you first date, because if you cannot talk about it, then that might be a clue that you might not be able to talk about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's right. And you might have some issues with it because because I was pretty poor like when we met. Like I had the house, but I had no cash.
I was poor too.
And it was a real struggle.
And hence used to make a lot of money too, right? Just not.
But I spent a lot of money.
Yeah, right. So making money doesn't mean being wealthy.
No.
That's one thing I learned.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Whistler. Went to Kelowna. I went skiing a lot.
Because if you make, but you spend more than you make, then you're poor. Right? So even if you make might be less than someone, but you being smart about you can be wealthier than someone who makes more money than you.
I think the job I have now is probably one of the all things considered, right? Like less than $60,000 a year. Yeah, but it's a great job and I love it. And I'm probably living the best life I've lived. Healthy, happy, doing what I want to do, lots of free time. Yeah. So beautiful wife, beautiful life, got a good dog.
Yeah, so that's our perspective. And I hope that you take what you can take, start what you can, and you can do it. You can be financially abundant, one step at a time.
Just one step at a time and just believe it and just believe you can do it. Your situation can change.
You know what they say? Often we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And so exactly 10 years ago, we were at that spot.
Right? Standing in that co-op. We lived in a co-op. Right? Thinking about making a change in the old co-op situation.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Right? So you can do a lot in 10 years.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Actually, where we are today, we mostly, how do I say? We got almost here about like 5 years ago or something. So it didn't take us 10 years either, right? Just 10 years ago that happened, but really.
Yeah, we got this house, 5 years ago, 8 years ago now?
The end 2016. So, yeah. And
but that's when we got, but then, then we paid for it. So that was really cool. So that's a really cool piece too.
Yeah, right? I mean, this house, mortgage free. We're not mortgage free because of other things going on, but this house is mortgage free. So, can you imagine paying off waterfront house in less than 7 years? You can do it.
Yeah, look,
okay, bye.
There's the water right out there. There's the place.
Can you see it?
Yeah, they can see right there. Oh, they can see the top of my shiny head. And look, there's your beautiful smile. They see all kinds of good things at the end of the video. Oh, And the dog. There you go. Got a cute dog in the video now. It's going to go viral. That's what we needed. There's more hot puppy dog
Subscribe
action. And like it and link it and love it. And we're going to hashtag the hell out of it. And I really don't know how any of this works, but we're having fun making movies. Right? So,
Okay, let's end here. Bye.
Okay, bye. See you next time.